Well, hi there, food friends. It's Kevin.
It sure is. Hi, Kevin. I'm Ralph, behind the camera.
And welcome to Cavalcade of Food. And today we are making creamy cucumber salad, known by a lot of different names. We always just call it cucumbers and sour cream.
A nice side dish.
But it is a nice side dish. And basically, it's just what you think it would be from that description. Cucumbers and sour cream, but not just sour cream and a few other little yummies added in.
Now, do you think this is a Polish tradition, or does it probably cross a lot of cultures?
You know, my maternal grandmother made it, and she was Polish, and it's a staple at a lot of Polish restaurants, at least in the Detroit area. It's something that's offered. Although I know there's like a German version and
Dutch, maybe.
Dutch, Hungarian,
Eastern European.
I think it's probably a common dish, European dish, but we certainly always had a lot of it growing up, especially in the summertime when the garden was in full bloom and things were growing, and
cucumbers were aplenty.
Were aplenty. And matter of fact, you're like, what are we going to do with all these cucumbers? And as a matter of fact, our neighbor across the street, he keeps bringing cucumbers over from the garden, and which we're grateful for. And thought, okay, well, let's put some to use and make cucumbers and sour cream.
All right.
So I'm going to make the dressing, essentially, the sour cream dressing. That I'm going to make first. Okay.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to use the large bowl because that's what we're going to end up. So you can't make it without sour cream. So I'm going to take half of this, so that's like a cup, okay, of a 16-ounce container, so like 8 ounces of sour cream. And to that, Ralph, we're going to add really just a few real basic ingredients: sugar, salt, pepper, and a little apple cider vinegar. So what we're going to end up with is sort of maybe a sweet and sour idea, okay? So I'm putting in maybe a half a teaspoon of salt, maybe a quarter teaspoon of pepper. This is by taste, okay? So I'm going to start with a tablespoon. Apple cider vinegar works best here. Put in that. And then probably also a tablespoon of sugar. And we're just going to mix that up. The vinegar will thin this out a little bit. Okay.
Kind of break it down a touch.
Yeah. And it'll just make it a little bit less thick. And then now we have to remember too, the cucumbers have a lot of water in them.
Sure.
All right. So we're gonna, when we add the cucumbers, naturally some of the water will come out of the cukes, and that will also thin the dressing down. But let me get a spoon because I want to taste that and make sure we're on the right track. You know, maybe a little bit more salt. And so Mom never really measured things out. She would do it always by taste.
Sure.
And
pinch of this and a pinch of that, and then taste it.
Exactly. So there you go. Now let's deal with our cucumbers. So I'm gonna peel the cucumbers. You don't have to. I find that the
rind
skin of the cucumber to be on the bitter side, so I like to take it off.
Probably too, it prohibits absorption of the flavors.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, sometimes people like to see a little of the green, but another thing that we put in at the very end is some chopped up green onions. So we'll have some green in there, but we're gonna just peel these nice cucumbers back here. There's something so, I don't know, refreshing about the smell of a fresh cucumber. Okay. So, Where's my knife?
That's why cucumbers go good in as a garnish in certain drinks too.
They do, yes, they do. And sometimes even just
cucumber water.
Cucumber water, infused
I knew that's
water
where
with
you were
cucumber.
Going. Yeah, that's
is great.
That's always tasty and refreshing.
Now,
in the
something
summer.
I'm going to check is I'm going to cut the thickest part of the cucumber. Now, this has got, depending on the size and variety of the cucumber, you've got seeds. And sometimes the seeds are really big, and sometimes they're small, and they're really tiny, and the seeds can have a bitter taste to them. So I actually, and there are some of us that we don't eat things with seeds in them.
Sure.
Okay, because of it
medical,
bothers us digestively.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape some of these seeds out of the center core here.
I'm starting to see why you add sugar, because there could be a little bitterness in some of the ingredients, natural parts of the cucumber. But did you ever hear this old wives' tale? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a true thing. But that if you rub the ends of the cucumber up, you cut it. That it, I don't know. Isn't there some trick where if you rub it, it takes away the bitterness?
Well, I remember one of the ladies from church, Rosie, who used to make cucumbers and sour cream sometimes for church dinners. And what she would do is she would salt the cucumbers down after she sliced them.
Oh, because that draws out.
It would draw out a lot of the water, and she felt that made it less bitter.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Now, what I'm going to do is, this is a mandolin.
Are you going to play it?
This is a great, not that kind of a mandolin, but this is a mandolin that is really made for slicing things, and what it does is it has a blade here, very sharp, but it makes uniform slices of whatever it is you're passing through here, so that they're all kind of the same size.
And you can change the thickness?
Yes, you can. Now, I'm going to use it to slice the cucumbers here, and
did your mom do it at a sort of thin side, on the thin side?
She did do it thin, and she usually just did it by hand. Whoops, cucumber overboard. She would usually use
just a knife.
A knife,
sure.
And just do it by hand. But I have this little gadget, and I don't use it a lot, but this is one thing where I use it for. And so what I'm going to do, let me show you. See?
Gotcha.
We have a bunch of nice thin slices here. I'm going to keep slicing these cucumbers till we have, I'll probably use all of them. Okay, and then we'll mix them in with our sour cream.
Sounds good.
So, Ralph, I finished cutting up the cucumbers.
So you had a couple of large ones and one small
I had
one?
2 large and 1 small, and they're all sliced up. So now what we're going to do is we've got our cukes. We're going to add them into our sour cream here. And then the last thing we're going to add is some scallion. So I've got 3 scallion or green onion or spring onion, whatever you like to call them, because we just want a very mild little oniony flavor. And I'm going to I just use the green part. Just to give it, if you didn't have green onion and you had like chives would work too.
Maybe red onion?
Same thing.
I think I've seen red onion too.
Yeah, you could use regular onion if you wanted to, but you'd want to really chop it very finely, because you don't really want to overpower. The cucumber's sort of delicate.
I can smell it already, the onion.
So we're going to mix that in.
And you gave it a taste test, so it's got a good balance of sweet and salty.
Sweet, salty, and
a little bit of kick from
the
vinegar.
Sour, that acid. And that's it. Now we're just going to give this a nice mix. You want to make sure that all the cucumbers are coated. And you can make this a little ahead of time, actually. It's probably a little better if you do. An hour or so ahead of time.
Is that to let the flavors
let
work
the flavors
in?
kind of blend, and you let that sour cream kind of get into the cucumbers a little bit.
And then you want to make sure to serve it cold.
You want to serve it cold. It should be nice and cold, chilled. So once it's done, go ahead and give it a little wrap here with some cellophane, and then we'll put it in the fridge. And this is such a great little side, especially in the summertime when the fresh cucumbers are in, whether they're from the garden or you get them at the local farmer's market. And you can see there's nothing to putting it together, and it's just really cool and refreshing.
It'll cool you down on a hot summer day at a picnic.
Absolutely. So here's our creamy cucumber salad. Cucumbers in a wonderful sweet, tangy sour cream dressing. Well, Ralph, we're going to try. This has been in the fridge for, a good probably hour and a half. And isn't it beautiful?
Boy, it brings back memories.
I just love the green and the white and little flecks of pepper in there. And
great side salad.
It's nice and chilled.
Does it remind you of your mom's and your grandma's?
Me of my mom and my grandma, yeah. And you know, this was such a staple whenever we had, a Polish dish. My dad loved it, so my mom made it a lot because he loved, we all loved it. But pork chops, city chicken, any kind of big family gathering.
Are you getting all the flavorings, the onions and?
The onion is very mild.
Good.
That's why you use that's why that scallion is so nice, because it's just
not
such
strong.
A mild in the background. And of course, who doesn't love sour cream, right? I mean, what's not to love about that? But the vinegar gives it a little tang. The sugar gives it a little sweet, and then you just have the salt and pepper, which everything needs.
And you can garnish it with dill. You used to have fresh dill in the garden, but you could use fresh or anything.
Or I might just, I'm a pepper freak, so I might put a little bit more pepper on it.
I love it with pepper, yeah.
But and it's, it's good just this way too. So anyways, thanks for being a part of this edition of Cavalcade of Food. Stay safe, strong, and well, and we'll see you again real soon.
Bye.
Right here on Cavalcade of Food. Bye, everybody.